Viserys, because this is another topic we wanted to talk about, but I think we can kind of squeeze it in here.
Yeah.
Should Viserys in general have been more aggressive in naming Rhaenyra as his
Yeah.
heir?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at, Maegor the Cruel. He may he may take the throne a little quite
Yep.
aggressively,
Yeah, he does.
to say the least. But
Yep.
you know, they talk about, a Targaryen flip a coin, you get a good one, you get a bad one. But I think sometimes you need to be, as a ruler, you have to know when to press and when to be sort of good, I guess. But maybe he's a little too nice in the fact that I think if he really pressed it, he's the ruler and he has dragons and he can say, Rhaenyra is my heir and you're just gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah. So, okay. This is a good topic because several mistakes were made by Viserys. Really, I mean, he's going to come out here and he wins out in the Council of 101 IC. He is. I mean, we had Rhaenyra who will be passed over. It comes down to Emma Arryn is his first wife, and he has Rhaenyra, and he will not, and he names her his heir. We actually see a clip in the trailer where all of the different Starks and the other lords pledge their sword. They pledge, they swear that she. I mean, they're going to defend her right to the throne. She will be essentially the first, I guess, queen, right, of Westeros, and that's something he set up. Like the council didn't necessarily say it was really just picking the next. I mean, they did overlook Rhaenyra, and they did establish that idea that no, it should be, the Viserys, and they looked at the male heirs and all that kind of stuff or whatever. But it's like, okay, they're, it's so ironic that Viserys is the one who's picked over Rhaenys Targaryen, and then now he's saying, no, we are actually going to have, like, my daughter is going to be heir, because he does say that, and people come forward and they swear that. But the biggest mistake I think he made is right here. So in 113 AC, Viserys decides it's time for his daughter Rhaenyra to wed. So Queen Alicent wanted, at the time in 113 AC, she wanted the princess to marry her eldest son, Prince Aegon, so he could one day be king. Viserys would not. He's out. He's out on this, and he says that Aegon is too young. He's 10 years old, and that I think he's 10 years younger than Rhaenyra is maybe what it is. Which, by the way, I mean, there's people. I mean, I know people who, again, it's, as long as he's older and stuff like that, like if he's 20 and she's 30, whatever. But it's a shocker because he said they also didn't get along in their youth or whatever. But right there solves all your problems. I mean, they both can rule. I know he's king and she's queen, but whatever. It's like, that's fine. So it's Alicent proposes this, and these things could have been reconciled. I don't know. Maybe we're going to see that conversation come up in this, and we're going to see Rhaenyra really go to her father and say, no, I'm not having that. I'm not whatever. Well, sorry. Hold on a second. Viserys is king.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, this is on him in terms of making this work, because he's now set up a situation where this is his firstborn, Rhaenyra, but his firstborn son, and again, if you're going by the precedent that was set in 101 AC, it should go. And Alicent's thing is that it should go to your son, your firstborn son. And he is going against the very ruling that put him in the throne. You know what I mean? He's going against that. So either, as Matt said, should he be more assertive and saying no, getting more different time, or there's a perfect compromise here, as Alicent brings up, which is have them marry, have the two marry. Right. But there's the age difference. There's all this different stuff or whatever. So, and then you've got Corlys Velaryon saying, no, I want, we've got a candidate over here, Laenor, who was also an infant during that time. Laenor's name was put forward with Viserys' name in the Council of 101. You had the three largest contenders were Rhaenys Targaryen, and then you had Laenor Velaryon, and then you had Viserys Targaryen. Those are the three. And so they're all still players around this time, and you could patch this up. I think he's actually trying. I think Viserys is actually almost like, maybe we'll see him sort of realize Rhaenys has a gripe. She was passed over. So then her son, Laenor, okay, let's whatever. Let's go with that. And he's now going to marry, Rhaenyra to him. So it just seems like such a missed opportunity, though. I get there's an age difference and there's, whatever, but now you've got siblings battling it out for who's going to be next in line. He already has an issue with his brother, Daemon, who wants to be the heir and is super power hungry and aggressive and he supports his brother. Absolutely. But he wants to be, next in line. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's just he ends up trying to be. I think he just ended up trying to be a little too nice, and he should have just pressed. It's easy to look in hindsight, right?
Oh yeah. Sure.
But I mean, if he really felt like, hey, this is my heir, he could have just said, "This is my heir, and you're gonna have to deal with it." And who's gonna stop him? It's still good because it ultimately still ties into the Iron Throne and the game and the true Game of Thrones, right? You have to play your cards right. It's why I was just sort of thinking of him and then thinking of like Tywin Lannister, and it just shows you, man, just how good Tywin is just as a leader.
Oh yeah.
Because Tywin really only ever underestimates one person, and it's Tyrion.
Yeah.
Like to be, I mean, that's it. Like everyone underestimates somebody, and it like in the entire series, everyone there's nobody who plays the game perfectly ever.
No. Yeah.
But It's like, man, Tywin's probably the closest to play play in the game.
Yeah, he is for sure. Yeah. One more point too on this idea with, as you say, people who play the Game of Thrones and understanding the dynamics. Because what George does best, what you said there with Tywin and Tyrion, is there's a human element. There's this other factor. There's this family. There's this jealousy. There's other elements that there's a human factor in it. There's political alliances. There's whatever, but there's also just this random wild piece where it's just like somebody's going to rebel and they just don't care and they're willing to burn it all down and they don't care. So Rhaenyra basically said, like, she's like, I'm not marrying Laenor. She flat out says, no, I'm not going to. And he's like, then I will change the succession. I will change it to your brother. And she was like, well, he basically prefers my brother. There's no way. Which bring in, the Strongs, Harwin Strong, and all the craziness with her, I guess, bastard children. There you go. I said it. But you know what I'm saying, man? It's like he underestimates the passion of his daughter in terms of who she wants to be with, and then he just really fumbles this one.
He must legit though, if this leak sort of is true, and that in the show we will see him say something to her about the potential of this threat up north, right?
Yeah.
Man, then he must legitimately at least think to some degree she's gonna end up being the leader, which I think we're gonna see this season. I think this season, especially with a lot of the images and everything they're releasing, I mean, all these power shots of like young Rhaenyra. First of all, look freaking sick. I mean, this show looks so good. I'm so pumped for this show.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of these shots, like just the way she's turning it. I mean, it feels like she's like, I'm gonna be queen someday.
Queen. She is the next. Yeah, exactly. So there's I mean, it's also unique in that like he has two wives and that he went out and said she is the heir. And so he's not gonna, like, the king, you should, like, his request is, it's public knowledge that he wants Rhaenyra to be his successor. So it is sort of a crazy betrayal by Alicent, which is what's going to be the factions are going to be, people are going to be split on this. And you need to almost, again, maybe there's major wrongdoings done to the High Towers. We're going to feel sorry for something. There's good, because I feel like fans are going to be split 100% on this, whether you support Rhaenyra or Alicent. I would not be surprised if they make Alicent Hightower out to be a very sympathetic figure,
likable character,
who we're all going to be like, yeah, what's up? Why don't we see that? And then some of us who are like, well, wait, there's a tie through here. Like the Targaryens are losing this element, this secret. There's this. I mean, again, this is also the king's wishes, his last sort of. So
I do think from a fan perspective, it's gonna end up working out really well, because you ultimately know that a Targaryen is gonna win. So because we know the Targaryens, if you just watch Game of Thrones, the Targaryens hold power until until Game of Thrones starts. So it's unlike Game of Thrones where you're watching it and you're thinking who's going to win at the end. Here, at least the sort of the thing is like it still works because a Targaryen's going to win. So one side or the other is going to win. So for the people that are just your casual watchers who are not going back and reading any of this stuff,
for sure,
they're gonna know I can pick either side, and you might win. Like
You might
you can
win.
really
Yeah.
root for one side in this. As a
Yeah.
casual viewer, you can
Right.
totally root for one side, which is really cool.
Well, and it feels kind of weird because it's such a great dynamic. You have Alicent, who's the mother, like rooting for her son and trying to push her son for it. Serrato Hightower doing his thing as well. And you're also going to see by the way, prior to all of this, there is sort of a like Hightower. There's he understands the political dynamics here and tries to make certain alliances with individuals in the small council. You have Daemon then making alliances with Corlys Valerion. So you're going to see a lot of I guess like muddy water to begin, and then you'll see things start to kind of separate. But I think in the beginning there's going to be definitely a muddy element to this where you're like, okay, who is really on whose side here, and there's going to be a big question mark, which is a good thing. But then Alicent rooting for her son to be the next in line, and because you can have fans say, now hold on a second, Viserys flat out, they're going to, I mean, the old king is in this. They're showing us King Jaehaerys. They're showing us the Council of 101 AC. They're showing us that, like, this is the way it's done. This is the way this super respected king who ruled for many years and the realm was in good governance has basically said, this is how you should do stuff moving forward. And now you see the Hightowers wanting to uphold what King Jaehaerys said, what basically put his, what put his grandson on the throne. So they're justified in wanting Aegon to be next in line. Whereas you have other people who say, now hold on a second, the current king, Viserys, is establishing something new. So it's a really, really, really good spot to kind of create a divide and create
Right.
bases for each side. Flat out,
Right.
because there's a
And
case for both.
right. And to be fair, they both in a way like kind of win. Like they both lose, but they both also kind of win
Right. Because
because
they're all half
like
siblings too,
right, like yeah, they're all half siblings and I guess real ultimately I think Rhaenyra kind of wins
Yeah.
because her and Daemon's son, who
Damon's son.
Daemon
Yeah.
wants, end up sitting the throne. But in the meantime, like Alicent's kids do sit the throne.
Yeah, they do. They do. Well, and again, their relation, I mean, again, nothing they could be fighting with, it's tough because again, Aegon the third is so young that he's really not going to be much. I don't know. I don't know how much of a factor, what the deal is going to be, what they're going to do, or how they're going to do all that. But
Right.
like, essentially, that's still their family. I mean, you have two half siblings fighting it out here, which is crazy. So yeah, ultimately, the Targaryens, as you say, win. Viserys, either way, his heirs sit the throne, right? Whether it's through Rhaenyra or it's through Alicent, his heirs will sit the throne. So